Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday. I don't need my glasses. Hey, it's Torn Tuesday. It's your weekly dose of all things Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I'm Justin, and Cliff will be joining us via Skype shortly, and hopefully you'll join us soon on Skype. You can Skype us. The information is scrolling across the top. You can text us anytime you want, 24 hours a day. It goes to me and Cliff. If it's a Tolkien question, Cliff will answer it. If you just want our opinion on pop culture stuff or where to get pop vinyls, I'll probably answer it. So, there's been amazing news. Now, let's talk about all the stuff that's been happening in Tolkien land before Cliff gets here. So, last week, we got a super secret instant message, I guess DM. Someone in the UK of high importance, validated with a check mark by Twitter, slid into our DMs and said, hey, we got big news coming up, and get ready. It's going to come tomorrow. So we hyped it up. We're like, okay, something's going to drop tomorrow. And then when tomorrow came, that same account said, oh, sorry, we had to push the news back, so no news. So my bad, our bad for hyping y'all up on big news and then not delivering for 5 days. But we finally got the information that was promised to us, which was the tickets to Tolkien's exhibition at the Bodleian Library. Now, this is a huge deal, and Cliff can talk more about it. So let's get him on the line. Clifford Broadway.
Well, hello. Hello, everybody.
What brings you to thewondering.net today?
Hey, what? Well, I'm here to co-host a show with you, Mr. Justin.
Hey.
Cool. How are you, sir?
I'm very good.
You'll have to forgive me. I was just in the middle of getting text messages and emails from the Magic Castle, the world-famous Magic Castle here in Hollywood. We were investigating possibly doing our live stream show from there.
That's right.
But as it turns out, the Academy of Magical Arts has regrettably informed us that because we don't have any active magicians or active members of the castle on our show, that it might not be a good fit for them. But otherwise, wouldn't that be a glorious place to
So you're basically giving me bad news live on the air.
Don't mind if I do. But we just want the whole wide world to know that we're very much engaged in bringing our show to a whole new level with an exciting new venue where we're going to be broadcasting from, and we have some exciting things in the works. The reason why I mentioned it is because I get about 25 people every week saying, "Hey, Cliff, why haven't you tried to do your show from the Magic Castle?" So now we've addressed that.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful day here in Los Angeles. Did you guys see that there was a new website that quoted me in an article about the Amazon TV series?
No, I did not see that. What's going on?
Well, it's very interesting. One of our mutual friends who works in the fantasy and science fiction movie business, his name is Tom DeSanto. And you might know him because he's made a couple of little X-Men movies with
he produced the Transformers films. I love those movies.
He just made a couple of little tiny movies called Transformers that you might have heard of, right? And X-Men, things like that. But the great joy is that Mr. Tom DeSanto has gotten behind this really interesting new website for science fiction and fantasy geeks, and the whole geek audience is going to get a chance to take a look at this. And they're just launching a new website with some new content, and they said, hey, would you answer a couple of quick questions about Amazon? And I said, yeah, of course. And here they are. The name of their endeavor is Eighth Mind, as in sixth, seventh, eighth. I don't know if this is a musical interval or a musical reference, but Eighth Mind. You can follow them on Twitter, and they're, you know, everyone's getting their panties in a twist about the upcoming Amazon series.
Hey, speaking of Twitter, did you see the big Twitter news today?
Oh, about those red vinyl editions? Oh,
look at those.
Whoa, dude. Now, here's the news. You can get regular old CD audio, which is, you know, interesting that they're still using that format. You can get the whole entire Fellowship of the Ring soundtrack on Blu-ray audio. And that's for people who have, you know, sophisticated home theater systems with these beautiful stereo and surround speakers in their home. So if you want to get really, really old school, you'd go for the red vinyl, right? Otherwise, you'd get
it's Blu-ray audio? Really?
That's correct. Did you see what Doug Adams? You know, we just interviewed Doug.
We just talked to him. This is...
Yes. Yeah, he said, yeah, you can get it on 3 compact discs, regular compact disc audio, or compressed into 1 Blu-ray.
It's a package thing. It's 2 CDs and a Blu-ray.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yes. So I believe it's 2 CDs and a Blu-ray for the Lord of the Rings, the complete recordings. Now, Cliff, this track list is, there's disc 1, there's disc 2, there's disc 3, and then disc 4 has 148 tracks. Now, I don't remember 148 themes in Lord of the Rings. What's going on with the complete recordings, and why is this a big deal? The complete recordings. This doesn't seem like the regular soundtrack.
No, well, in a nutshell, the original soundtrack that we bought in the year 2001. Oh my gosh, did we really? Yes, we did. 17 years ago, we bought what was released as the soundtrack to the film, and it has most of the major segments, but it was not a 3-hour score. It just had major segments of very recognizable portions of the score that were well known in segments of the film, but it was not the entire 3 hours running time. So I can't imagine, maybe this is a question for Doug, why they would have to separate 148 different little tracks, but that's a lot of music cues that we have never heard separated from the celluloid itself.
So these are all the music cues in the actual movie?
Yep, every single music cue, every music moment, every note, written and arranged.
And conducted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was when Howard Shore, in the original trilogy, really had his fingers in the pie in the whole project.
That's right.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. This set that was just announced today, 4 red vinyl records, and
so juicy.
A pretty substantial book, it looks like. I mean, this goes beyond liner notes.
Well, it is the liner notes that Doug Adams said he had already written, and he's responsible for so much of that amazing content that he says it's much easier on the eyes to read instead of a little compact disc booklet. It's full-size vinyl with this. It's going to be great. Do you know about the vinyl being 180 grams in thickness?
Yeah, that's the current, like, you know, gold standard for collectible vinyl records is the weight of the vinyl is 180 grams. So
isn't that amazing?
It's supposed to last the longest. It feels substantial. It can go through a lot of playbacks. Now, Cliff,
a lot of wear and tear, but the Lord of the Rings is not the only one that had a 180 gram colored vinyl re-release. Even Jim Henson's classic, The Dark Crystal, had a huge 30th anniversary edition just come out last week in purple smoke 180-gram vinyl.
That's right.
Not red, but purple smoke, smoky purple vinyl for The Dark Crystal. How cool is that?
You know what's crazy is that, this resurgence of the popularity of vinyl reissues has basically commandeered the very few vinyl record presses in America anymore.
Yeah.
So basically, if you were a band and you wanted to issue your own vinyl, there's like a 3-year waiting list to make vinyl. There isn't enough factories to make records right now.
Because they had been closing them down since the 80s and 90s when they started switching to CD audio.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Now, I'm impressed. My next-door neighbor had a yard sale this weekend, and he sold 3 phonograph turntables. He sold 3. And
Wow.
there's just rickety old phonographs, and everyone's gobbling them up. Everyone. Like, seriously. Now, hey, the only thing that I can tell you, I'm not as much of an audiophile as I wish I was, but I learned a thing or two back in the 80s from, my older brother who, knew that the best way to play heavy metal was on, like, really loud. We had such a great speaker system. We had a great stereo receiver when I grew up as a child. But my older brother taught me something useful. The distinction between cheap record needles and diamond tip record needles are super expensive, but they are worth it. They're so worth it. They reproduce a fidelity of sound from the vinyl like nothing else can. And they will last, obviously, forever and ever. They're such better conductors of sound. It's pretty cool, simple chemistry, but diamond head needles is what you want to find.
Do you think the surge of LPs is due to the fact that everything's digital now, and like the physical presence of a record is valuable?
Everyone's craving nostalgia. You kidding?
But it's not nostalgia. I mean, people are, like you said, people are buying record players, and it's nostalgia goes on the wall. People are listening to this. This is real deal.
They are. But if you're asking what is in the consumer's mind, what is the psychological mindset of the consumer, I'm telling you, it's nostalgia. It is a very strong pull. That is why Netflix just, decided they're going to do a Dark Crystal reboot TV series. That's why vinyl has come back into popularity. It's why Star Wars fans are behaving the way they are against Rian Johnson, being so pissed off at him, because they can't relate to The Last Jedi, and it's playing fast and loose with the Star Wars world because the sense of nostalgia is so strong.
Now, Cliff,
wait, why is it DC Comics is doing a sequel to The Watchmen? Why is Jeff Johns writing and publishing Doomsday Clock? It's because of the power of nostalgia. Everyone wants a taste of that.
How much is nostalgia worth? Because I'm looking at the price tag of this Lord of the Rings Complete Recordings vinyl. It's $120.
Not bad. That's less than I thought it would be.
What, less than the thought it'd be? Tell me more. Why?
Sure.
What commands that price? Why is it worth that much money?
Why was the price compared to the price tag of that disgusting Ultimate Edition boxed set that Warner Brothers was regurgitating that had no new content at all? And it was how much?
$699 when it came out. Yeah, but there was something else going on. This thing
was lame. This is new content. This is part of what we've been asking for.
But it's not new content. The Complete Recordings was released a decade ago.
Yes, but as Doug Adams has correctly pointed out, they have been very limited available, very limited quantities, and they've been price gouging on the secondary market in a disgusting way because they haven't been that readily available, and everybody wants it. Literally, it's not brand new, But for many people who still haven't got their hands on it because of that situation on eBay, then wow, here's a chance for people to have it. And I really thought that, how many records are in this set? 4? 4 LPs in this set?
Yes.
5? Okay, this is amazing. 5. Yeah, this is a reasonable price for what you're getting with this massive box set and all the liner notes and it's just beautiful. It's really beautiful. And the person who's got to get into this also has to invest in the sound system. You've got to get a nice turntable, not like the crappy ones. You can't
listen to this on your new HomePod. You have to have a whole system.
Nope. I hope that you get all the people who are watching our show. Thanks for joining us on the live show. It's a thrill to be here every Tuesday with all of you. But you're going to have to invest in a sound system and a really good turntable if you're going to make this investment worth anything at all.
This is it's just crazy.
Maybe Disneyland parks, Walt Disney World parks keep jacking up the prices of their tickets, and there's still no shortage of people attending the parks. So again, that feeds into my argument that the power of nostalgia, since the kids who had gone to Disneyland and Disney World in the 80s now have children of their own, and even with the prices going up and up, there's no decrease. In park attendance.
Look at this vinyl.
It's nostalgia.
Of the dark
it's so powerful.
That you mentioned the dark crystal vinyl.
Yes.
That's crazy. Only 300 pressings.
Only 300. Yep. And one of them has got my name on it right down here at Amoeba Music, right down the block.
Hey, do you have any idea?
I don't even have a record player to play it on.
Did they announce if this is a limited edition Lord of the Rings Complete Recordings?
Oh, good question. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, because every other vinyl that I've heard of in the last couple of years has had a limited run. Only a few hundred things. Here's the thing I need all Tolkien fans to do is buy this vinyl of the Fellowship of the Ring, the Complete Recordings, because we need this to be a success on day one. Because I really want the Two Towers Complete Recordings. That's the one I really want. But we don't get that unless this one sells out in record time.
Oh, so this is the same argument of ticket sales for when the Fellowship of the Ring came out. If it wasn't a big box office success, we were at risk of not getting the second and third film, right?
Hey, Rhonda in the chat room says, what system and record player would you recommend to get the full effect? Well, listen, if you're serious about your Tolkien, you already have a home theater speaker system to watch those movies on. That way you can hear the bass when Sauron explodes. In the intro of Fellowship of the Ring, that bass gives you heart palpitations and gives Granny and her pacemaker cause for concern when Sauron explodes. So you already have that system. Go find any vinyl record player. Go to Goodwill. Go to yard sales. Go anywhere you can to find a vinyl record player because you will want this Complete Recordings. Now, Cliff, this is not just the soundtrack, okay? This is what fans have demanded. I think one of the most requested things on our message boards for the last 10 years has been we want a reissue of the Complete Recordings. It has been sold out forever. It goes for lots of money on the secondary market. Would you agree that one of the most in-demand requests from fans for 10 years has been a reissue of the Complete Recordings?
It has been. I'm telling you the truth when I say that the single biggest contributing factor to the success of everything that Peter Jackson did was arguably, maybe inarguably, Howard Shore's music. This is something that I was even quoted by Tom DeSanto's new website in that article. I was quoted as saying, "We Ringer fans can never get enough of Howard Shore's music. We play the music all the time in our lives. When we're doing other things, when we're driving, when we're having game night with friends, we're addicted to Howard Shore's music.
Look, we're getting people in the chat room again. There's a little bit of confusion. People in the chat room are saying the soundtrack has been available on iTunes for years. In fact, people have downloaded it and bought it off iTunes. They have it on their Spotify playlist. This is not what's available on iTunes. This is the complete recordings. Cliff, can you again, what is the difference between what they just announced and what is available on iTunes?
Okay. What is available on iTunes is what was released back in 2001. And it is the original motion picture soundtrack. That is a selection. It's a selection. Not all 3 hours of music.
Cliff, you won't believe this. Amazon UK right now has copies of the Two Towers complete recordings for an unbelievable sale price of £1,750.
How about that?
This is how in demand the complete recordings are, where they go for £1,750.
Let's see. You could buy the old, for $11.99. For $12, you can buy the recording from the Fellowship of the Ring, and you guys, that is going to be about what, 50 minutes worth of music? Maybe it's like 60.
Yeah.
Maybe 65 minutes worth of music. But the complete recordings is all 3 hours, including every tiny little incidental bit. So to clear up confusion, back when the Fellowship of the Ring was released as a soundtrack, it was a hugely abridged soundtrack that just featured the big highlights of the score, the big motifs, the big recognizable passages. But it's not complete. So now you guys, thanks for catching up with us. Now you guys all understand that these complete recordings are every single note from the opening to the closing of the film. Every single bit.
This is a big deal. Now, and we want to buy it from Amazon. We want to pre-order it. Pre-order it from Amazon because Amazon is making the Lord of the Rings series. We want to show exactly Jeff Bezos needs to know how much we demand Howard Shore. In fact, I think he needs to be involved in the TV series. The Lord of the Rings,
I agree.
Middle Earth is the sound of Howard Shore. And just like Star Wars is the sound of John Williams, I don't think you can do a good Lord of the Rings series, even animated, if they go that route, without Howard Shore. It's so ingrained in us now. So, hey,
indeed it is.
So again,
I agree.
That's the big news today. Let's recap. Today, it was announced that they're bringing back the complete recordings, one of the most demanded things from Tolkien fans for 10 years. The complete recordings, every single music cue from Fellowship of the Ring, only Fellowship. Yes. This 5-disc record set. It's 5 vinyl records. Also, at the same time, there's going to be a CD pack and Blu-ray pack. But this vinyl records, plus the liner notes by Doug Adams.
Do you know what the duration of the complete recordings is?
I do not.
3 hours and 34 seconds.
So 3 hours and
3 hours.
3 hours worth of music, 188 tracks.
Yep.
This is 188 music tracks on 5 vinyl records. It's going to retail for $120. Get it through Amazon. You can pre-order it. There's no picture on the page yet, but if you go to Amazon and search for Lord of the Rings vinyl, it'll show up with no picture. You can pre-order it for $120. It will sell out. Cliff, we have to tell everybody, the complete recordings have sold out of every pressing in the history of their existence.
Yep, absolutely.
In fact,
this is huge.
It goes for over $1,700. It goes for over £1,700 currently on the aftermarket. That's how in demand the Complete Recordings is. So this is huge news. It's what fans have been asking for. We're finally getting it. The release date, March 30th. So we are 6 weeks away from experiencing the Complete Recordings on CD, Blu-ray, and vinyl. And the vinyl package is $120. The CD package will be $80. So up to you. If you've got the vinyl record player, you definitely want to get the vinyls. These will only go up in value. I can't stress this enough. Cliff, am I making a strong prediction here? Will these go up in value?
This is the collector's item of the decade?
That's a bold statement. Like, that's both of us.
Yes.
We hardly ever agree on anything here. We are agreed. March 30th.
We do have our moments. Yeah.
March 30th is when this comes out. Pre-order it right now. If you don't pre-order it, you might not get it. I'm telling you, fans around the world have been begging for this. This is a big deal. The Complete Recordings. When it comes out, we got to have Doug Adams back on the show.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. And we need to have him bring his phonograph player and his speaker system and set up a really nice sound system with us. That's what we need him to do. You know what? It's timed right at the exact time that people are getting their tax refunds now.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
So
if you want to know what to do with your big tax refund,
it ships March 30th. This is every music cue in Fellowship of the Ring. This is just the first one. If we sell this out within a week, the Two Towers will be greenlit in no time. Like, that's the one I really want. I really need the Two Towers soundtrack.
And it's a shame that you're putting all those indie bands on a longer 3-year, 4-year waiting list, because then the record producers are going to be dedicated to making Two Towers vinyl instead of making your little local indie band into vinyl.
You know what would be great? When this comes out, we should get Doug Adams back on the show, and we should just listen to we should have a 3-hour show.
Yes, great idea.
And just listen.
Dude.
I don't know if you, the viewers, would stick with us for 3 hours, but if we had Doug Adams here, basically giving us live liner notes.
Oh my God! If our audience can stick through the 3-movie marathon, extended version marathon, okay, the extended editions, then I'm sure our audience can get us through, a 3-hour listening, with the erudite commentary of Mr. Doug Adams joining us. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yes. Hey,
that'd be really great.
Ryan says Facebook will flag us for copyright. Not if we get it approved by Facebook Copyright first.
That's right.
We're on to some stuff.
Right.
Hey, Cliff, our lower third below our name says 2018, the rebirth of the Tolkien Legendarium. And this is just the first step. The other big news this week, Cliff, I mean, this, again, Tolkien's rebirth in full swing. Tickets to the Tolkien Exhibition at the Bodleian Library went on sale today.
What a huge news item. It's like, I know that everybody's, having a fan reaction to that red vinyl, but really, the big news is that I need to save up for a plane ticket to go to the United Kingdom now.
Now,
that's the big news.
Cliff, some fans who are not familiar with the Bodleian Library were kind of like unimpressed with the hype of this announcement. Now, can you give us some context? Why is this a big deal?
Well, cool. Generally, I would encourage anybody who is on the internet to do their own research, and if they're faced with something that they're not really quite sure what it's about, they should just do a bit of digging. But I'm all about letmegoogle-that-for-you.com. That's one of my favorite things. But the Bodleian Library is a quite special place there in England, right there. They are a super, super cool library that has a lot of rare archives. It's a research library. It's part of the University of Oxford. And
it is. This is Oxford?
You can't get closer to the original J.R.R. Tolkien than having the Bodleian Library, which had been given the grace from the Tolkien estate of having all of these original manuscripts and beautiful maps and illustrations and things that are not available anywhere on Earth. And now they're digging this stuff out of a refrigerated vault, and they're going to show it to the world in this amazing exhibition. You cannot get closer to the authentic J.R.R. Tolkien than what they're going to show you at this exhibit.
Now
they're closer to the real deal.
They're calling this a once in a generation exhibition. Why would they say that? Hasn't Tolkien's work been on display before?
Well, no, it's a research library, and only students and people with a valid check-in can go in and look at some of this stuff, but nothing is ever removed. You're never allowed to take anything out of a place like, the rare items in the Bodleian vault. So if you ever want to get close to see Professor Tolkien's original manuscripts and his own handwriting on his own maps, like unbelievable cool stuff.
Now, all of the paintings and all of the images that we're seeing with this Bodleian exhibit, this is all from the hand of Tolkien himself. His real paintings and watercolors by Tolkien.
Are you kidding? They've got an original Shakespeare's first folio. Are you kidding? The Bodleian Library has like 4 copies of the Magna Carta, going way, way, way back in time to the bloody Middle Ages. The Bodleian Library has the real deal, real authentic manuscripts from a 1455 Gutenberg Bible. They've got the first folio of Shakespeare stuff. It's all there, man.
Now they're saying on the webpage, they're saying the Bodleian it is brought to you by the Tolkien Trust, a charity established by Tolkien's children, a long-standing supporter of the Bodleian Libraries, especially in areas of its work which reflect Tolkien's own literary and academic interests. So this is basically, this is the Tolkien family saying, here you go, world. Here's what you want to see.
Yep. Super good stuff, huh? The chance to go is, it just screams world tour. The Bodleian Library should make an example of this and take this little exhibit on a world tour all around, so that people who can't get to England can actually get a chance to see it, to be honest. I mean, I think that would be so great. Wishful thinking on my part.
There's a lot going on. They have... This is unbelievable. Like, are we going to see Tolkien's original painting of the Hobbit book cover?
Gosh. I mean, did you see that on the on the artwork? Yeah. I mean, I love Tolkien's dust jacket design.
So this opens
with its blue and green colors. It's great.
So the Bodleian Library Tolkien Exhibition opens June 1st. It runs through the end of October. So, and tickets are free, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be available. Like, tickets will go fast. Now, Cliff, we've here in LA, we've had a couple recent art exhibitions at LACMA and the other art museums around with free tickets, right? Remember Falling Water and the Rain Room? How long did it take to get tickets to the Rain Room? There was like an 18-month wait.
Yep,
and
that's
it was
true.
Free.
Even the Infinity Rooms at the Broad Museum have been blocked out for months.
So Cliff, the Tolkien estate is basically offering this for free. They want no monetary compensation. They just made $100 million from Jeff Bezos selling the rights to Lord of the Rings. Here we have at Oxford, courtesy of the Tolkien family, a free exhibition of Tolkien's works. This is unbelievable. Is this going to be hard to get in?
Yep. Yeah. I believe it will be, and we are part of that. The OneRing.net was contacted, by some secret little bird that landed on our windowsill to get some advance notice.
They were so excited about the announcement.
I know it's true. There was a secret little bird landing on the windowsill to give us, as Bilbo might term, inside information.
Now, Cliff, Helen Ford in the chat room says, will the exhibition go on tour?
I'm fantasizing that it would. I'm hoping that it would.
Is there any precedence? Has Tolkien's work ever gone on tour?
You know what? No.
It hasn't. Will the Tolkien family and the Tolkien estate allow these precious paintings and work to leave their home, to leave Oxford? Will they allow it to travel to the U.S.?
Makes you wonder. A lot of the bigatures and these beautiful large pieces from Richard Taylor's team at Weta, they were taken around on a tour, remember? And they went to some of the cultural and museums around the world. I don't see why not. If you can take, a 40-foot tall Barad-dûr bigature sculpture from the movie set in Wellington, if you can tour that around the world, then...
But that's Weta. I mean, we're talking about the family's personal collection of their father and grandfather's watercolor manuscripts, maps, works. Do you think they are trusting society to care for their... I don't think this would go on tour. I would hope it does, but I don't think it will.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's super likely. I know it's not super likely, but I would be very glad to see it happen. And they do have the resources to make it happen. And that's why I mentioned, the idea that Weta could tour there was a movie props and elements from the movie production that went on tour. And why not do the same thing for, a refrigerated case of these beautiful documents?
We got an amazing text right now, Cliff.
What? I'm just saying that it's not about whether they trust that stuff going around. It's do they want to spend the money to transport these valuables around the world? And then it would go a different way. It wouldn't be come in, register your name, and go for free like they're doing at the Bodleian now. It would be a high ticket price. Really. To cover transporting these valuables and these rare parchments all around the world.
Hey, there's people in the chat room saying that this is actually going to tour, and it's coming to New York City in January of 2019.
What is?
This exhibition is touring. Well, you send us a link. Look, chat room. If you're commenting in the chat room and saying that this Tolkien exhibition is going to tour and come to America, please send us a link to where you saw that. I really want to know. But Cliff, we just got a wonderful text message. Again, the phone number should be scrolling above the top. It says, everything that had happened following Christopher Tolkien's resignation seems to focus more on what fans have been asking for.
Yes, I noticed that. Doesn't that seem true?
So, what do you think he was the lone holdout into giving us everything we've wanted, or what do you think's going on? Do you think that maybe society has earned the trust of the Tolkien estate with their careful handling of Marvel and Star Wars and some of these other IPs that, everything's being handled with trust and care. And do you think that has influenced where the estate is right now?
Yes, I do. And I do believe that with Christopher Tolkien taking himself out of the equation and taking himself, into his well-deserved retirement where he can relax and enjoy, a lot of the decision-making has now been handed down to others whom we don't know, others whom we have not identified yet. But yeah, all these things seem to be much, much more agreeable to what the fans have been making a lot of noise about. And I'm particularly glad to see this happening. I really am. It means the world to Tolkien's fandom to see that there's a reinvigoration, to reinvigorate the energy of another generation of younglings who want to pick up these books and get absorbed in these stories. I think it's important to all of us, really. And with these new productions coming out, I get the feeling that somebody who's within the Tolkien estate may step forward and be a spokesperson sometime soon. I think about the time that they announce casting and announce the directors and the writers and the showrunners for the Amazon anthology series, I get the feeling that we might get a more visible presence from someone at the Tolkien estate who's going to be, that point person that we'll be looking at and reflecting our thoughts towards.
Hey,
when this
Cliff,
all
the chat room delivers. They just sent me the official press release from the chat room. It says, will the exhibition go on tour? And in writing, it says the exhibition will visit the Bodleian Library in New York City from January to May 2019. There we have it, folks.
Okay, good.
It's coming. It's touring. Tolkien's work is touring.
That's great. That's great news. That is such great news. Thank you for finding that for us. Thank you. You know what that really means, Justin?
What does it mean?
It means all the money that I was going to save to go to England this year, I can now save that money. We'll go to New York next year.
Road to New York. We need to go.
I'm so down. It's going to be great.
They need to bring this to LA now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now the money that I was going to spend on that UK trip, I can buy a Southern California resident Disneyland pass. So I can get my annual pass and go to Disneyland all year long. That would be great. That's my trade-off. But I am down for us to get sponsors. Let's get some great sponsors, okay? Let's do a live stream road trip to New York. Justin, let's do it.
We should do Meetup. Look, we have a ton of fans in the New York area.
Yes.
Pete Northerner is up there. Cal Surrey's near there.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to do a Meetup at. In fact, we should be there on opening day. There's so much excitement now, man. And Cliff, let's just be completely clear. This is not an art gallery show of artworks influenced by Tolkien from other artists. This is only Tolkien in his own writing and in his own pen. Correct.
That is correct. I mean, like I said before, there's no way to get any closer to the human being who was J.R.R. Tolkien, except to get your hands directly right up to his handwriting. When you look at his ethereal scribble on that paper, you will know something different is happening inside your heart. Something different is changing inside of you. When you see his details and his notes,
oh my gosh, you're absolutely
right. And you realize the vastness of his imagination and how detailed he was. There's nothing else that comes close to genius as much as being really close to genius. Let me just say that. It's going to be a life-changing thing for many things.
Here's the thing about looking at lettering in person. You get to see the weight of the stroke, and you can actually tell more than a picture. If you see it in person, you can see where he raised the pen. You know, where the pen first touched the paper. You know.
Yep. I'm dying to see his maps. You know, Professor Tolkien was a great illustrator and an artist. He was really successful as a watercolor artist. We know this. There's, beautiful books that have collected his illustrations and his watercolor paintings and his many book designs, because Tolkien was designing, well, you know, the door of Moria that Gandalf opens by saying, Melon. That was Tolkien's design. It wasn't some other hired hack who came in and said, let me draw you a door for Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
No, that was Tolkien. The maps were drawn by him. The alphabets were created by him. Do you guys understand this? I mean, he created the beautiful dust jacket for The Hobbit back in the 30s. It's an exquisite, very symmetrical design. It's kind of modern. Considering it was made in 1937, it is a uniquely bold, graphic dust jacket design for The Hobbit, with the blue and green mountains and all the trees and a little dragon up there at the top. It's really cool. But when you see his maps, that's what I want to see. He was his own world builder. He was his own philologist. And, believe it or not, he was his own cartographer. There were significant delays with the publishing of some of his books because he kept telling his publishers, oh, geez, guys, I'm not done with the maps. I need my maps to be redone. And who helped him? His son, Christopher, came in and helped him redraw maps. Such a beautiful thing. Father and son creativity, father and son in a symbiotic relationship that carried on to many, many, many decades later.
Wait,
when Professor
Christopher
was gone.
helped write draw the maps?
Open up any of your big single volume editions that has the gate fold out map, and it says Christopher Tolkien's initials, CJRT, on there. Christopher Tolkien has his initials on that map that was redrawn and republished later on in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, of course he did.
Wow.
It's really cool. I'm telling you guys, just take my word for it, when that stuff comes to America, we're going to New York because I want to be like right up close and personal with those maps and those manuscripts. I love it. It's so cool.
Now, Cliff, there is a lot of we've discussed many times how basically Tolkien retconned The Hobbit when The Lord of the Rings came out. You know, he changed several things in the book. So here at this exhibition, we will actually get to see early manuscripts of The Hobbit to see the process change even further. You can actually see how the story changed before it was published.
Consider how writers write today with their word processors, with Microsoft Word. What you do is you write something, and if you don't like it, you'll highlight it and then hit delete, and that paragraph is gone. It's gone. But back in Professor Tolkien's day, when he wanted to scratch and change something, it still lived on the paper. It still lived there. And even if he went and scratched it out, you could still read it through the strikeout. And that is how Christopher Tolkien was able to be very clever in recognizing fundamental changes to the storytelling as his father was writing it. I mean, turn the page over, squiggles in the margins. Flip the page over on the back. More notes, more comments from his father about the development of a name, about the language associations with a character. But nowadays, writing in a digital format, all of that extra stuff is gone. As soon as you hit highlight, backspace, it's gone. So there isn't the same kind of archival value at all anymore. Not like there was back with Tolkien. It's all manual, man. It's the best.
Cliff, I'm bringing up on screen, I don't know, you probably can't see it, one of the watercolors that will be on display. Again, watercolors are made on paper. They're not on canvas. They're on paper, so they're very delicate. But this is a multicolor thing. Looks like floating fishes. Actually, it looks underwater, right? We see a whale and a fish and things floating in air. And very lightly in pencil, it says the gardens of Merking's Palace. From the Tale of Bodleian.
Yeah.
I don't recognize the name of that. Mer King's Palace, from the Tale of
Bodleian Palace. I think that's something from Roverandom.
Roverandom, yeah. So, I mean, Tolkien, for being an author, I mean, the dude can draw.
He sure can.
He sure can. Now, Cliff, we started talking about this before. Tolkien was 45 years old when the book published, when The Hobbit published. So that puts him in his mid-60s when The Lord of the Rings came out. I mean, it's never too late to start writing, is it?
It's never too late to have a late-stage career.
This wasn't even his career, right? He never quit his Oxford job to go into writing full time. He didn't.
Oh, he took a lot of guff from his peers for attempting to be a fantasy writer.
So, this is just amazing. It amazes me some of the social media reactions we were seeing of just a very small few people, that were saying, wait, this is it? This is the announcement you made? Free tickets to the Tolkien Exhibition? I said, yeah, it's that big of a deal. It is that big of a deal. This is Tolkien's own works. And seeing it on your screen in pictures is not the same as seeing the original ink on paper.
Well, it's a hard thing to explain to a generation of people who have never experienced a lifetime of writing down your thoughts manually on paper.
Yeah.
But it's hard to explain because technology has shifted all of us to another place. For good or for bad, it's not like we're living in a Black Mirror episode, but sometimes I think we are. But yes, okay, to see something that is manual, it's the reason why Captain Jean-Luc Picard had a copy of Shakespeare's collected works in paper in a leather-bound book inside his ready room. There's a reason why. Because as a character, he's like, I'm not going to just read Shakespeare on a data pad. There's something tactile about having paper, having books, and there's something realistic, something, you would call it kinetic. There's a real physical kinetic energy by looking at Professor Tolkien's desk. When we went to Wheaton College and got to see Tolkien's desk, and I realized,
we did.
Oh my gosh, there are molecules of his DNA on that desk and flakes of skin cells, hair, because he was writing and slaving away over that desk for 17 freaking years doing The Lord of the Rings. And that desk was like the Holy Grail to me. Because literally the man was sweating over that desk. It's just, it boggles the mind to be able to go to the Bodleian Library and see his real thoughts written and changed in real time as he was rewriting his mind out. I love this whole thing. I hate to get too hyperbolic about it. I have a tendency for hyperbole, forgive me. And, I'm talking about this exhibit, Sight Unseen. I haven't even been there to Oxford yet to see what the Bodleian is about to display. But I can guarantee you, without hyperbole, that it's amazing. It's going to be just phenomenal.
Vicky says, I've got chills over the fact that I'm going to make this happen in my life. I'm going to start saving soon. Yes, that's the right answer. Hey, as part of this announcement and this exhibition, there are 2 new books being published, Cliff. Do you know of an author named Catherine, looks like McIlwain? McIlwain? Catherine,
I'm not sure.
Catherine McIlwain.
That name sound familiar?
I don't recognize the author, but I have an excuse. I don't read. But there are 2 books coming out: Tolkien, Maker of Middle-earth, hardback, and then a smaller paperback, Tolkien Treasures, featuring a lot of his works and maps and art and stuff like that. So these books, they're affordable. They're at the shop exhibition. They'll run for about £40. So
Yes.
maybe, what is that? About $50. And you can expect to see them available at the New York thing in January 2019. God, I'm just so excited about this. I don't know how people can.
Me too.
Hey, we just
don't know
got
how
a
people
text
could be
message.
like-
Speaking of things going on with Tolkien, hey, what's happening with the Tolkien biopics? Are they still unreleased? The answer is they've wrapped production on the first one. It is in editing right now, Cliff. And
Yes, it is.
the little that we've seen and the pictures that we've seen look great. It's a young romance movie starring the kid that played Beast in the latest X-Men movies. What's his name?
Yes. What's his name?
I'm totally spacing. I was about to say Brandon Ruth, but that's Superman. No, the kid's
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult.
He is more familiar to the audience, not just for playing Beast in the recent X-Men films, but most familiar for playing the young lad spraying silver paint in his mouth in Mad Max Fury
that's right.
Road.
He was that kid. So
Absolutely.
Nicholas Hoult is playing J.R.R. Tolkien. So
Yes.
let's be clear, Cliff. I just told everyone that Tolkien published The Hobbit when he was 45 years old.
Yep.
And it is well known that it took him about 3 years to write it, and then he sat on it for another 2 years, right? So the book didn't really exist. The Hobbit didn't really exist until he was 40. Nicholas Hoult is not playing a 40-year-old in this movie.
He can't. Unless they do.
But we don't see. We haven't seen any pictures
makeup
of it.
to age him to a certain age, but no.
And his love interest Edith is being played by the girl that's this queen's sister in The Crown.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. So
in the theory of everything about Professor Stephen Hawking, Eddie Redmayne played a considerably wider age range for the character than I thought he would.
Yes.
And it's possible. And even in Ron Howard's A Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe managed to play the character across a wider time frame. So if Nicholas Hoult is going to play young J.R.R. Tolkien in World War I, I get it, because he looks the type. But if they're going to age him, they're going to have to do very, very good aging makeup.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this movie, this biopic, if it's going to be about Tolkien romancing his future wife, do you think they should even touch on writing these books?
Are you kidding? They'd be fools not to.
But how would they fit that in?
About that.
The vibe I'm getting, and we've talked about this several times, the vibe I'm getting out of this movie is it's more like Finding Neverland, that Johnny Depp film where he played the author J.M. Barrie. Am I getting that right?
That's right, J.M. Barrie. Yeah. That's correct.
And
by the way, you were mentioning Lily Collins. The actress's name was Lily Collins.
Lily Collins was playing Edith Tolkien.
That's right. She's Edith Bratt before she gets married to him. Okay,
that's right. No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Do you remember Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp, where he plays the author of Peter Pan, and things in his life, people that he meets in his life in the movie have a direct correlation to familiar characters? Do you think that's the type of movie we're going to get with this biopic? Do you think that things are going to happen in Tolkien's life in this movie that we will instantly recognize as like, oh, there's the Samwise in his life. there's
No,
the Gollum.
I hope they don't. I hope they don't do that, because they did that on the TV show DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and it was so silly. It was so contrived. It was so contrived. It was so silly. Don't do that.
Wait. You're telling me Lily Collins is the daughter of Phil Collins? No, don't blow my mind. Jen Bourgeois is saying right now in the chat room that the actress Lily Collins, who will be playing Edith, is the daughter of Genesis's Phil Collins.
Really? Okay, I did not know that. Well, I didn't know that.
Don't lie to me.
You know what?
Don't trick me, because you're blowing my mind right now.
Do you know what, guys? Thank you to the chat room for letting us in on that little secret, but I could feel it coming in the air tonight. I could have figured that out on my own.
Cliff.
Sorry.
Cliff, one of the greatest, most
So
respected
stupid.
things of Tolkien's work is his elfish songs, correct? His poetry.
Yes.
Can you imagine the daughter of Phil Collins might have a musical biology in her? She might have the lungs for it. Could we might hear some elvish singing from Phil Collins' daughter in this movie?
Don't blow my mind. But is she a singer? Is Lily Collins
No, she's
even
an actress.
Right. Okay. Well,
You mean Disney's Tarzan, Phil Collins? Yes, that's exactly who I meant.
I do expect that the writer-director, his name is Dome Korakowski. Again, I investigated his other biopic about the salacious artwork of Tom of Finland. It was very enlightening to see this director's work on a very, very fundamentally different type of artist. But this director is interested in showing like moments in a person's life that would impact their art, and therefore I expect to see Lily Collins maybe dancing or singing to herself in the woods, because Professor Tolkien said that that was his strongest memory of meeting Edith, and it became part of the Beren and Luthien story, of how Beren met Luthien in the woods. So we might see a scene where the young man Nicholas Holt is playing John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, and wouldn't that be interesting if he sees the beautiful Edith in the woods collecting flowers and singing softly to herself, and he becomes enamored with her. I can imagine we'll see that. I bet we will.
I really want to see this movie, like, right now.
Yep. Yeah, because I think this director is very attuned to what is part of the creative chain that links an artist to their past. There are lots of links to a person's past that influence what they're making right now. And I think the director, Kurakowski, he successfully captured that in that Tom of Finland movie, and I think maybe he could bring that to bear to the Tolkien film. However, I will say that Tom of Finland was glacially slow. The movie was as slow as molasses in January, and I hope to God that when he makes that Tolkien movie, he edits things together to make them move with a bit more of a breeze to the pacing of the film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really hope for that. But it's exciting. Now, what do you think, Mr. Justin? Let me put this question to you, sir. Do you want to see two different films, because they're making different films? Would you like to see the second set of filmmakers focus on C.S. Lewis and the Inklings and the other contemporaries of an older J.R.R. Tolkien, and look at some of the professional struggles that he faced later in his life with getting acceptance from his peers or getting feedback from the Inklings, the other people who were in his social circle?
Look, I think there's something really interesting about a feature film with big actors chronicling Tolkien's life from the beginning of writing The Hobbit when he was 40 years old to the publishing of Lord of the Rings when he's 60, 63. So think of the actors that you could cast in that. These aren't kids. Like, you would be casting 40, 50, and 60-year-old actors. You'd be casting mature, like, people we love, you know, and as
one name, Christopher Plummer. One name. I want Christopher Plummer to be my 65-year-old J.R.R. Tolkien. Give me my Christopher Plummer. He's the best. He's played a Klingon general. He's fought with Captain Kirk. He's been in every awesome movie ever. He is brilliant, and he just rescued the Ridley Scott film, All the Money in the World. He single-handedly rescued that film. I love me some Christopher Plummer. What do the people in the chat say to that? Who do you think, as an actor, would be ideal to play the older, late 60s J.R.R. Tolkien?
Yeah, 40 to 60. Hey, Cliff.
I'm fascinated by that.
We got a message in the chat room. Dave Gentry says, I took your guys' advice a few months ago and watched Shadowlands about C.S. Lewis. A biopic about C.S. Lewis. He says, I teared up. It's moving and incredible.
Yep.
It is. It really is. It is one of my favorite biopics of all time. Shadowlands, starring Anthony Hopkins as C.S. Lewis, and featuring a character composite that is not named Tolkien, but is Tolkien. It is the closest representation we've ever had to Tolkien's, personality.
His famously outsized personality. All the students at Oxford would swear on their dying day that nobody taught a more invigorating class with his big booming voice and his flair for storytelling. Nobody could give a lecture on ancient Beowulf and ancient languages like Professor Tolkien. He was really well liked. He was adored by his students at Oxford.
Yes.
And not every teacher can say that at a big university, can they? I think it's kind of cool. I wish I had been alive to sit in on one of his classes. Oh, that would have been the best ever.
So, look, I think that would be a perfect. It's not even a sequel, just a separate storytelling exercise of a separate biopic of Tolkien late in life, because he was a late bloomer. You know, I hope this movie. I do hope that this movie that is currently wrapped production and is in the editing room right now, I hope it covers his early life from growing up in South Africa, and then leaving before apartheid. And then
he was just a baby. He was only 2 or 3 years old. He wouldn't have remembered anything about that. The only thing he remembered about South Africa was when he got bit by a large spider. Freaked him out. He was 3 years old. And that has something to do with Shelob and all the creepy crawly spiders that are horrifying in Middle-earth. That's because when he was in South Africa, he remembers that. But, what do you remember from when you were 3?
Do you think...
Literally, you don't remember much of what happened when you were 3, do you?
Could we convince Daniel Day-Lewis to portray J.R.R. Tolkien? Is he the appropriate actor? Was Tolkien a tall man?
No, he was an average height. And Mr. Lewis wants to retire. You think he's going to come out of retirement? Nah.
I don't believe the whole retirement thing, the phantom thread.
Well, how about Gary Oldman, who's about to win his Oscar for playing Winston Churchill? Do you think Gary Oldman could be put up in some outfit? Gary Oldman could be the J.R.R. Tolkien in his 40s, and then really late in life, you could have Christopher Plummer play Professor Tolkien in his late 60s.
Yes. Well, we've had this conversation a few times, and we have other stuff to cover, for this show. Now, Cliff, the other big news this week, I mean, it's just been 1, 2, 3 punch, is the first footage of Peter Jackson's next film project, a personal passion project he's been working on for over 5 years. It is a documentary on World War I.
Yeah.
It will be released on the BBC later this year. But before that, I think it will have a couple screenings at various film festivals around the world.
Oh, good.
But the big thing is, here's the breakthrough of Peter Jackson's World War I documentary. It's unbelievable. You know how, like, when you look at old-timey footage, it looks like everyone's, like, walking fast?
Yeah.
You know? And even in the silent movies, it looks like, you know, everyone's just moving fast. Like it's a fast-paced life. That's not really how it was. That was just the footage. The camera technology at the time didn't allow us to capture real frame rate that we're used to.
That's right.
So Peter Jackson, the holy grail of archiving footage has been, how do you take old footage that doesn't have a lot of frames and make footage with more frames? How do you create frames from whole cloth that don't exist?
Oh, I see Peter where Jackson, this is going.
So we've got the first preview of what Peter Jackson's team at Weta has done. And they've taken old-timey footage and restored it to frame rate ready, 30 frames per second, ready for television. It's unbelievable what they've done. You can look at old footage and you can see it's like scratchy and it looks, everyone's moving super fast. But then when you see Peter Jackson's treatment of it, it looks like it was shot yesterday. I mean, it looks amazing what they've been able to do. I've got some animated GIFs playing on screen right now because you really have to watch it over and over again to really appreciate what Weta has done. Can you imagine Peter Jackson doing a feature film on World War I with real actors intercutting actual footage from World War I into a movie shot today? It would just be amazing.
The technical problems and the challenges, rather, that he'd had to go through to do that, that's really impressive, man. That's really, really impressive.
Like,
I've got faith in him because he's a technical wizard more than anybody, really.
There's been so many people. I mean, there's been really, really smart people for decades now trying to crack the code of how to make old-timey footage, silent movie footage, old war footage, old historical newsreels look like they were shot yesterday, because it makes it relevant to current audiences. Like, the minute you see a low frame rate sped up video, you think, I'm looking at something old, and you kind of tune it out. But if you don't know if it was shot yesterday or 100 years ago, like, there's something really important about that storytelling device. So that I can't, like, this is, as excited as you are about the Tolkien stuff, I'm really excited about what Peter Jackson has been able to do with World War I footage. I have a feeling when this comes out on BBC and possibly on Discovery Channel later this year in America, that people will think that he hired actors. People will think that these are recreations, like Dateline NBC, you know,
wow.
48 Hours. Like, this is what you're seeing is real deal.
That's kind of awesome, dude.
So we're really excited. If you go to our Facebook and our Twitter, we've linked to a YouTube video where Peter talks about what this project is and how they went about things. I highly recommend watching that video on our Twitter and YouTube, where Peter Jackson goes through everything. Hey, Cliff, we got a text message and changing the subject now. I don't know if I agree with this, but the text message reads, Peter Jackson owes his career to Tolkien. Makes sense that he is honoring Tolkien still. I don't know if I agree with the idea that Peter Jackson owes his career to Tolkien. He was already a successful director, and it was just the next phase of his career. And it was a project he always wanted to do. I don't think...
Maybe we could rephrase that and say Peter Jackson owes all of his Academy Awards to Tolkien. We could put it that way, but not his overall career. You're right. He had made Heavenly Creatures and some really interesting zombie splatter films, and Peter Jackson had already gotten into bed with Universal Studios and made The Frighteners, which was rather fun.
With Sean Astin's dad, John Astin.
John Astin's dad, yeah. The connections to Samwise are right there with John Astin.
So,
and, yeah,
let me ask
I do
this.
appreciate what they're saying there.
Do you think Peter Jackson is obsessed with World War I. He built a huge museum down in New Zealand about World War I, which our own Kelly Rice helped with. He's doing this documentary on World War I, making old footage look new. Tolkien fought in World War I. In fact, he lost all of his friends in World War I at the Battle of the Somme. Do you think there's a chance that Peter Jackson could be in a position to do a World War I film about Tolkien in the war?
That would be so cool. That would be a dream. That would be such a dream. But he's not going to do it because you've already got two other filmmakers. Two of them. Sorry, I need to put my hands like this so that my United Kingdom audience isn't offended by me doing this. So, sorry.
Well, let me ask...
Two films already coming out, but yeah, I mean, it would have been beautiful.
Yeah, I can't remember ever seeing... I don't remember personally seeing a World War I movie. I've seen a bunch of World War II movies starring great people.
Gallipoli.
I haven't seen it. Do you think?
Really?
Do you think a movie about World War I, or even just about the Battle of the Somme, a big budget war epic, do you think that's an appropriate place to slot in a character of Tolkien? Not make him the main subject, but just in the context of a massive war film, Tolkien shows up.
Why the hell not? It was appropriate for Wonder Woman. They put her in that exact situation in World War I.
Huh.
And this character was always associated with meeting Steve Trevor, who was a pilot during the Second World War. But the DC Extended Universe changed it, and it worked beautifully. The Amazonians were like, war? What war? And Chris Pine looks at them aghast and says, the war to end all wars. Like, you don't even know what's going on? So, in the same way that, World War I has not gotten as much of a highlight in major commercial films because Steven Spielberg has spent all of his attention on World War II films all the time. And so have other filmmakers like Joe Wright, who made Atonement. Atonement, which is such an amazing film with James McAvoy and Keira Knightley. And that's set around the Dunkirk episode. And then Christopher Nolan comes along. Christopher Nolan makes a movie about Dunkirk. And then so does Joe Wright. He comes back again, and Joe Wright directs Winston Churchill movie.
Yeah.
Okay. With
Darkest Hour.
Our favorite vampire from Bram Stoker's Dracula. So yeah, and here comes another movie about Dunkirk. Everybody in film, at least in 20th century and 21st century, they're mainly paying attention to World War II.
Hey.
But there's some films that go back in time and look at World War I very specifically. And that's one of the main reasons why Wonder Woman made such an interesting choice. That Patty Jenkins and the crew at Warner Brothers would say, let's shift to World War I, was a very interesting choice, and the movie was better for it. The movie was much better for it.
Hey, did Tolkien know Edith when he went to war?
Yes. Yeah, he was writing her letters all the time.
They were not married, though.
No, they were forbidden from being married because she was not Catholic.
So
she was a Protestant.
Someone in the chat room, Northerner in the chat room, made a funny joke that if Peter Jackson did a World War I film, it would be super long because it would have a battlefield love story to get teenage girls into the cinema. And Pete, I have to tell you that your idea that you just made as a joke is actually true to Tolkien's life. You cannot tell the story of Tolkien and the Great War without telling the love story of Tolkien and Edith.
Absolutely. I guarantee you that director Dome Korokowski is going to cover a lot of that territory. Judging from the stills from the set that we've seen already of Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins, yeah, it looks like that's what's going to happen. Exactly. Her romantic influence is going to linger over this young soldier in a big way.
I'm more excited for this movie. The more we talk about it, I'm more excited for this biopic with Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins, and the opportunities for the war, the opportunities for song, the opportunity. I'm going to get myself hyped. So, Cliff, this has been a big week.
Me too.
It's only Tuesday, and we've already had 3 big announcements related to Tolkien. And these aren't insignificant. It's not like announcing new pop vinyls. These are huge fan-requested things that fans have been dying for decades, at least 10 years for the soundtrack. And so just to recap, today's announcement is the complete recordings, every music cue in Fellowship of the Ring on 5-disc red vinyl, also available on CD with a packaged Blu-ray. Retails for $80 and $120. You can pre-order on Amazon. Do pre-order it. It will sell out. Cliff, this is not... This is like...
Agreed.
I'm not overhyping it. This will sell out. It is the most demanded piece of Lord of the Rings.
It's not like we here at Torrent Tuesday have a record of overhyping anything. It's not like we've ever done that. But seriously, I will agree with you, brother. I'll agree with you on this. This is a big thing. It is 3 hours and 34 seconds of pure musical glory.
188 tracks.
Not just the 50, or 55 minutes that you got when you got the Fellowship soundtrack all those years ago.
Hey, Cliff, I just did a quick eBay search for Lord of the Rings Complete Recordings CD.
And what'd you find?
On eBay, $160, $360, $640, $500.
Major price gouging, insane.
This is how much in demand it is. Guys, we're not joking. No. $120 is a steal for the complete recordings.
That's amazing.
In fact, I wonder if I have... do you have them? I don't know if I have it.
I don't. You know what's interesting? All those people who are price gouging right now, they're going to lose all those sales now with today's announcement, because the fans are going to get the new, beautiful release instead of somebody, trying to dick them around with an outrageous, overpriced thing on eBay or on the secondary used record sales on Amazon.
Hannah in the chat room says, if I had extra money, the joke being Hannah's going to New Zealand this year, so you want everything. You're going to New Zealand, you want to go to the UK, you want to buy the complete recordings.
We all do.
That's the life of being a fan.
I want to get on the SpaceX rocket and ride in that convertible and look like I'm the astronaut from Heavy Metal. Yes, the animated movie that Elon Musk was recreating by sending that convertible up into space.
That's right. That was
so
amazing.
Awesome. It was amazing. I really enjoyed that. My stepmother was sending me pictures of the Tesla floating in space, and I said to her back, "Did you know that they're recreating the opening title sequence of Heavy Metal?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why Elon Musk was doing that." Imagine a little animated film, which became a cult classic, was so influential on Elon Musk that he ends up putting a convertible in space to do a gag. A gag.
It's amazing. So, anyway, to reiterate,
nuts.
The soundtrack that you have for Lord of the Rings may not be the complete recordings. These are very prized possessions. It doesn't matter if it's a jewel case or a cardboard sleeve. I think I have a leather sleeve soundtrack, but I don't think that's the complete recordings.
If your Fellowship of the Ring soundtrack is 1 hour long, then you know you have the regular version that came out 17 years ago. If your Fellowship recording is 3 hours long and it says complete recordings, then you know you're getting 66% more material. It's everything from the film.
It's everything
every
you
moment,
hear.
Beat, every music cue, even from the extended version.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the other announcement,
everything.
The big one that we hyped up was the Bodleian Libraries, the exhibition for Tolkien, June 1st through the end of October in the UK at Oxford, and then January through March in New York City. Tickets are free. It will sell out. You need to see Tolkien's work in person. You need to see his Elvish and Dwarvish writing with your own eyes. You need to see his watercolors, and you need to see the original manuscripts. Cliff, you've seen the desk that he wrote on, and that was a religious experience. I can't imagine.
I have caressed it with my own dirty paws. As Bilbo would say to Frodo, "Keep your sticky paws off."
Yeah. Well, this has been a wonderful week and a wonderful discussion, Cliff. I'm so excited. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Cliff, and to all the fans. I hope you're spending it with your own John or your own Edith. In your own little world.
Yes, that's right. With your own Baron or your own Luthien.
Or with your own Merry and your own Pippin. Or your own Keely and your own Feely. You know, depends on who you're shipping this week. Anyway, we're here every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, everything like that. You can follow us at the One Ring Net on everything. Remember, text us. The phone number is scrolling across the top of the screen. You can text me or Cliff any of your Tolkien-related questions or comments.
Try our best.
Yes. And we'll try to answer it. 530-64-FRODO. Yes, that's really our phone number.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at QuickBeam2000, like QuickBeam Treebeard's younger friend. Even though I'm getting older, I'm still younger than Treebeard, so I'll take it.
Yes.
You know what? I put up a picture of me trying to grow a beard, and somebody said, "You look like Michael Rooker." And I said, "I'll take it. I'll take it." I love Yondu. I love me some Yondu. Michael Rooker is an awesome actor, one of my favorites.
Yeah, he
Great
is.
guy.
Well, happy Valentine's Day to all the ringers out there, and we shall see you next week.
Hey, all you wonderful ringers out there in the audience, again, thank you for being with us live every week on the all-volunteer website, theonering.net, created by the fans, for the fans of J.R.R. Tolkien. We're here, and we'll see you next Tuesday, live at 5 o'clock. And thanks again for joining us.
Beautiful.